Welcome to Topstep Funded Trader Interview. I'm Eddie Horn, and today we've got Alexis. Alexis in our Trading Combine program and the Funded program. And we're going to get to Alexis in just a minute. But remember, sharpen your pencils, make sure there's ink in your pen, because this interview is going to be a good one, something that you're going to want to take notes with. So let's get going here. Alexis, how are you today?
I'm great. Just got into the lab. Everyone is, no one else is really here. I came in a little bit early to use our conference room. So I'm just kind of sitting, and then after this, get into my day.
Fantastic. Alexis, if you can, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the meaty questions.
So I'm a PhD student in neuroscience. I, hopefully I'm getting to the end of that. Other than that, recently got married, finally went on a little honeymoon, so expensive, but
life is good. Life is good. Way to go. Now we're talking about trading here, of course, and being in our program. Before being in our program, what got you interested in trading? Was there any certain person, or was it just your interest?
Quite a while back, I ended up, like years ago, probably when I was an undergrad and things like that, I ended up signing up for a brokerage account and like dabbling a little bit, and that didn't go well. And I put it away for like a long time. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, my wife actually started kind of talking about like, oh, they're saying, I see people are saying like, this is potentially a time. I guess, everyone started getting into trading, but it was funny that, I hadn't even thought about it until she mentioned that it was coming up. And I was like, well, you know what, we'll give this a shot. And, started moving into kind of expanding like what is actually out there. Then everyone was on penny stock, started looking into that. Kind of moved back into, after a while, like stocks, large cap stocks and options. And then I started gravitating more toward like, I guess, mainly trading SPY and QQQ options.
Okay.
As I was learning about how all of this sort of factored in, how like macroeconomic conditions and things factored in, or like how to, I was just watching these charts basically all day. And then in a Discord that I was in, I got into one where people were like primarily also trading SPY options and futures. And someone, mentioned Topstep. And then I was like, well, I'm staring at a SPY chart all day. Why not like give this a shot? It's gotten more technical. I don't think I've necessarily gotten any better, but everything that I pick up along the way is like making some sort of foundation. So,
well, that's key. It's just what you're saying is, as you're progressing, you're building that foundation, and that's what we need to do. That's the first thing you need to do, especially in this business, is have a foundation and something that you can build off of. And you're going to find it's much smoother once you have that established.
Right. And one thing that I've noticed, sorry to interrupt, that is, a lot of people think that as you learn things, that's like this linear process, or it kind of does this or something like that. But in a lot of things that I've covered, that's, it's just a series of plateaus. Like, so I played chess for a long time. I don't anymore, but I would notice I would study really hard and I would get like a little bit better and then plateau and then maybe even go down a bit. And I would quit for a little bit. And it was like the brain and the bad habits you'd formed during that time period had time to kind of fade away and the information got integrated. I would come back to it like 5 months later and my rating would like shoot up and it would just kind of repeat that process. So I think, in terms of that foundation and having potentially rest periods in between, it gives you time to actually integrate that information better.
Yeah, you definitely need separation, re-energize. And I know it's not healthy to sit in front of a computer 24/7, 365. That's for sure. So you're doing the right thing. You're doing the right thing. Now, what are you trading now?
Right now, I pretty much exclusively trade ES and MES. And then also just options on SPY and QQQ. So it's mainly stuck to that.
Okay. Now, as far as Topstep goes, you've been with us here. I'd like to know, how long have you been with us?
Probably maybe what month? This is, so probably 6 months, 5 months.
Okay. All right. So you're progressing pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good considering where you're starting and how you're progressing. How about combines? Do you remember how many combines that you have taken?
I think I'm currently on my fourth one. The first one was me just blowing up every 10 seconds. It felt like I said, I'd moved from options and futures, the sort of linear P&L, and having to have that like very precise entry and exit was very different. It's not like you can hope that something will come back up.
It's the saying, trade for tomorrow. We always want to make sure that we're coming back the next day and not having to dig out of a huge hole. Of course, we're going to have bad days. It's part of the business. We have to accept losing, and that's something that we need to remember. As far as what you're using, what you're trading with, tools, indicators, share with us what you use.
I typically have just a volume profile, cumulative delta, volume, like temporal volume, and then standard deviations. Okay. And then beyond that, I'll typically, as the week progresses, I'll mark each day's daily high and low, and then those will sort of accumulate across the week and potentially the overnight high and low for the previous night, not every night, but for the night before the day I'm trading.
As long as they're working for you, I know that some traders I talk to, they use so many, and it can get confusing. But once you sort of dial into what works for you, keep it, use it, improve on it. And that's one of the good things, that you have a lot of options for that. So cool. Now let's move on to something that we wanted to hit base on, was about your strengths and weaknesses. Now, before we get to that question, I just want to say that Alexis went through the combine, got funded, and in the funded account, it did not work out right. And he is back in the trading combine. Now, first off, I just want to say props to Alexis for saying, hey, you know what? I want to come on here and talk about it. It's not only going to help me, but it should help others. And, that's what it's all about here, here at Topstep. We want to make sure that, those that do stumble or that do fall off the horse get back on as soon as they can. Because, Alexis, you made it to the promised land. You know how to trade. All right. You got there. And, that's what I 100% respect for you coming on and talking about this. But let's talk about some of your strengths before we get to those weaknesses. What are you most proud of about trading in your strengths?
I think one of the biggest things is just that when I do find that something doesn't work, or that, longer term, short term, I'm plenty apt to go on tilt or something like that. But longer term, when I start noticing things like what I was doing isn't working, or when conditions aren't working the same, or like I'm noticing this is a different sort of regime from what we've had the past few weeks or something like that, I'll go, sort of seeking out that information, also looking into books, trying to understand, like I said, I'm a grad student right now. I'm used to, if something doesn't work, you experiment and you find what is going to give me some insight into this problem so that I can do it again, or so that I won't do it again, if it's a mistake that you've been making. I have no fear of seeking out more, like I said, more rigorous texts, things like that, to try to get an understanding of the actual foundations of both the market and, say, the mathematics of what is potentially happening. Now, whether that actually, like we said, funnels directly into trading immediately or somewhere else, maybe a different story. But I have no fear of tackling, more difficult or esoteric issues with my trading and with the markets.
Yeah, recognition, when you see something that's not working. Sometimes it's just a simple fine tune, or, just to get you back to where you want to be. And, that's a bonus that you have there, is recognizing what needs to be done. A lot of people, a lot of traders, they go past that point, a little too far past that point, and don't realize it. So that's good on that point. Now, how about the weakness? What's your weakness?
I think it is still more than anything just, ending up essentially loss aversion and going on tilt after a bad trade. That is something that, it seems like everyone has, but it's the biggest thing to break because, we get so used to immediate feedback. Everything is so fast paced and moving so quickly that it just, you want that immediate pick me up and you don't wait for the proper conditions. And as much as I want to think of myself as like in other aspects of my life as being somewhat stoic or like waiting and calculating, here when the screen is in front of you and the bars continue moving, it's so easy to just get back in.
Yeah, it's the FOMO, the fear of missing
Yeah.
out. What am I going to miss? What am I going to miss? And it can be very, very stressful. And I tell traders too, not trading is a position, and it is.
Mhm.
It is. You want to preserve capital, and you want to wait for that right opportunity, that perfect opportunity. So, just throwing something against the wall, hoping it sticks, that's not trading. That's not trading, though. I appreciate that, Alexis. Now, being with Topstep here, we're very proud to have you here. Once again, 100% respect for coming on, doing the interview. Has Topstep made you a better trader?
I think so, definitely. Like, I mean, I'm on the Discord. I get to see all these sort of different perspectives. I watch the videos, sometimes I'll seek out specific types of videos. I may not know, sometimes a term or what something's called, and that leads me to do my own research outside of Topstep and things like that. And just, you're exposed to a lot of different perspectives, but you also have to operate within, like you said, this safety net or these constraints. And, changes things significantly. We have to constantly think of this. After I lost after I lost my funded account, I started thinking, okay, this is not going to be, you're going to get the funded account and that day is going to be a trend day and you'll hit it right at the bottom and you'll ride it up. And then, boom, off to a great start. It's going to be like, you need to think about this as, okay, maybe you have like the 50K account or the 150K account or something like that. But you need to just focus on what would be reasonable, trying to make on average 100 a day, then thinking about like, well, what would that be long term, right? That seems significantly easier than, sometimes like what I feel like a lot of us initially try to do, which is I got to get through step 1 in 5 days and I got to get through step 2 in 3 days. And so you're pushing for kind of these big things, these big, gains, and that leads to trouble. Is forcing me to kind of reorganize like expectations and how do I fit this in with obviously my own time, because I'm not trading full time. I'm typically take a look at a few things during the overnight and then open and then check in throughout the day.
Right.
So what can I reasonably expect? And how can I do that through or within the constraints of the program? And those things together, even though I haven't quite hit on making it work psychologically yet, I know that is something that I need to get to and something that Topstep is essentially encouraging if you try to, work within those constraints.
Yes. Now, I get a lot of traders, I talk to, and the question that they ask themselves is, how much money can I make today? That's not really the best question to ask. I think the best question to ask is, how much money can I afford to lose today? Now, that's going to keep you in the game much, much longer. So hopefully that helps. Now, how about the number one rule here at Topstep that helped you the most?
I think even though I, push a lot, it's not one of like the fully stated rules, but the 200 contract limit, which is like sort of in the fine print, made me start thinking a lot more about, for a while, like I was over trading a lot and started essentially thinking about like, okay, you've been just under the 200 contract limit all these times because you keep like going in and moving and you're finishing like break even, for the day. So what are you even doing? Right. So that has been like essentially forced me to think about, how do I curb over trading? And then I noticed that when I did pass the second, when I passed my combine finally, I looked at my days and I might have like 10 trades, and I might have like 20 contracts or something like that. And those were, I just had this string where it was consistent. And I know that, I was waiting around, I was trying to find the right trade. I was, looking into it. And then I would get out of it quickly if it was going against me. And it was like on form. I looked at since then, well, after I lost it, the days that I lost it, and those sort of FOMO days afterwards, where it was like, you got to get this back, get the funded back now. I was back up to the, over trading because I'd gotten back into that mindset of I need this now. But that rule and thinking about that rule and observing myself, like not feeling like I was trading that much and yet coming out with like 200 contracts at the end of the day made me go, well, what if you just tried to limit it to 5 trades? And I couldn't limit it to 5. Of course, I still went over, but it was like 10 or 12. So it's trying to get back to that point.
It's digging the hole too deep and then coming back the next day and saying, oh my God, I got to make this up. And a lot of us you try to make it up that day, which is, I mean, that's a pretty high mountain to climb. And, smarter traders will break it up, but, they say, don't worry about what you did yesterday. I mean, to be honest with you, that is so darn hard to do. It's in the back of your mind. It's like, I can't forget about that, but you have to take it one trade at a time, trade by trade, and small profits. These small profits add up. And like you said, you didn't like something, you cut your losses. That's the way to play the downside. You got to cut your losses. You can't put the hopium in your pipe. You can't cross your fingers. You can't pray to the almighty trading God. It's got to be something that you react to. So, but Alexis, I really appreciate you being here with us today. It was a great interview, and I really hope that we see you back again. You know what? Let's get you funded again and bring you back here. We'll have some new questions, and we'll go that route. And hopefully, those that have been listening and watching have learned something and learned something positive here about moving forward in the world of trading. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Alexis, once again, props to you. 100% respect. Any last words, my friend?
No, don't think so. Time to get to work. So
time to make the donuts. Okay. All right. Until we meet again, I'm Eddie Horn. Stay focused, stay positive, trade well, take care.